In this lesson, we're going to cover comparing and ordering decimals. Again, this is a review of what you've done before. We're just adding a little bit more complexity to it. So when we compare and order decimals, there are some things you need to remember to do. First of all, when you're comparing, a lot of times they take the same numbers and switch them around. And they do this to make sure that you're actually paying attention to what the value of the number is. So I always tell my students to look at the first numbers, and if they're the same, cross them out. Don't look at them. And just focus on what comes after the decimal. This is only if the ones at the beginning are the same. So if you just focus at what's coming after, obviously 743 is going to be greater, and it's really easy to determine this one. These are called inequalities, and you'll see this word again next year in middle school. Inequalities is just a way of saying greater than or less than problems. The other one that I see a lot of kids goof up on are the ones that look like this. Many students will say that this is greater at this point. Anytime you have a decimal number with a different number of decimal place value spots, see how this one has 2 spots here and this one has 1, you are going to get messed up unless you put a 0 here and balance it out. These are actually equal, and a lot of kids will see this and not understand, but 8/10 is the same as 80/100. If I have 8/10 written as a fraction, I can multiply 8 and 10 by 10 and create an equivalent fraction, 80/100. We just did this, so I know this looks familiar. These are equal. Make sure you don't goof these up, because they're easy ones once you figure it out. When you're putting them in order, there are some things that you have to be careful for. First of all, they're going to give you a whole bunch of numbers in a row like this. They usually put semicolons between them. Some have 3 decimal place value spots. Some have 1 or 2 or none sometimes. So you really need to evaluate this row. And they kind of look the same when they put them together like this. You're either going to be going least to greatest or greatest to least. I always tell kids to put out to the side L to G or G to L, because it's really easy to accidentally go the wrong way and then get the whole thing wrong. So when I have students do this, what I really like for people to do is turn their line paper sideways, just like this. I know you've heard me say it before. And I'm just going to rewrite the numbers in the same order as they were given to me. I've got 2 and 21/100. I've got 2 and 8/10. I have 2 and 346 thousandths. And I have 2 and 400ths. So you'll see here, I've got a lot of empty spaces here. When I'm putting things in order, I always want people to line them up, make sure the decimals are all in a row. These are all lined up. And then anywhere there's an empty space, I'm going to put a 0. And that way I can just focus on what these numbers are after the decimal. Obviously, if there was a 3 or a 4 here, I wouldn't cover it up. But if all the numbers here in the ones places are the same, I can cover it up. And if I'm going greatest to least, it's really easy to see he's in first place, he's in second, 210 would be third, and I can rank them like racing, like race cars, and I just rank them in order from greatest to least. And then to write my answer, all I'm gonna do is drop those zeros and do 2 and 8/10, 2 and 346 hundredths, 2 and 21 hundredths, and then my last one is 2 and 4 hundredths. A lot of kids like to read these 2.8, 2.346, 2.21. It's faster to read them that way, and I even like reading them that way sometimes. But if you actually say it correctly, 2 and 4 hundredths, that's going to help you the most when you are trying to do word form and when you're reading math word problems that write out the numbers, and that way you know exactly what it's supposed to look like.